Hello everyone, welcome back to my session. Many project managers struggle to identify a high value business case in the agentic era or the automation. And they struggle to identify how can they convert a cost center into a strategic value and create a business use case. If you are struggling with the same fatigue, let's start, and by end of the session you will understand how can you identify such a case and how can you create a business use case. Let's get started, and let me share my screen. All right, so let's deep dive into the use case, how it works. Yeah, so just to give you a background, so one of the fintech company, uh, Stise, one of the Norway-based fintech company, has leveraged the and harnessed the power of agentic AI to build the autonomous decision-making system. So their AI system scans through the public libraries and scans through the media reports in order to flag the potential risk and identify at the runtime. It's a powerful feature. So basically, this happens into AML, anti-money laundering compliance automation case. So in their cases, I mean, there are two areas that has created a long impact. One is the due diligence time reduction, and second one is the reduction of false positive alerts. So let's little understand what essentially this business use case is. The due diligence time reduction, it reduces up to 90% of the manual work, and that involves manual triaging, investigating time for the low risks, as well as the suspicious case that doesn't require, the human intervention, but automation is the right choice. So the benefit, I mean, that reduce the 90%, that's shifting the processes from the days to minutes. That's the impact it brought on the table. The second case is false positive reduction. So one of the business use case for the BN Bank, they claimed it has reduced the false positive up to 90%. That turns basically into that improve the risk scoring, the alert generation, and focusing the analyst time on the true risk. So just to show you, I mean, how it works is on their website. Look at here how it happens is during the employee onboarding or during the customer onboarding, you simply put the name and the details. It will scan through the whole registry. It will scan through their media reports, and then it will figure it out. It will give you details. Really, the customer is vicious customer. It's a risky customer. That helps the analyst to, build the profile and quickly create the risk scores. Let's go back to our main agenda. So now the question comes is, how can you identify and how can you actually create a business case? So look at the where is the money lying. I mean, the analyst project, the estimated the money laundering, I mean, overall the phishing market that cost approximate $2 trillion. And in today's world, almost all the systems are traditional. It's actually slow. It's actually, generates a lot of false positive. So so the opportunity, how come actually the Stise has turned the cost center into a strategic value creator, is by leveraging and harnessing the power of agentic AI. So let's understand how can you actually deep dive, how can you actually visualize. So look at here. Uh, a potential mid-size banks generates approximate 1 million AML alerts per year. And ironically, the 90% of those alerts are false positive. So essentially mean that the 90% of the cases that analysts spend time today, it's a noise, right? So where is the opportunity? So opportunity is maybe reducing the 90% of this noise to 30%, 40%, or the 50%. So let's understand the business use case. Estimated cost per alert is $50. So annual cost comes to your $50 million. So 90% false positive, it means 900K, and that cost you $45 million. That's the cost. That's the opportunity lying on the table. Yeah. So 30% to 50% false positive. I mean, where the value you can save, if you are reducing the 90% to 30%, 30% saving, that will save you approximate $13.5 million. But if you scale to 50% saving, that will save you $22.5 million. So the bottom line, for a mid-sized bank, the potential is 15 million to 25 million to save in this space. For a large global bank, it's 50 million to 100 million. That is the potential lying on the table. And that's how we have to visualize is the problem. 90% is the false positive. If you can bring up to 30%, this much is saving. If you bring up to 50%, $22.5 million is the saving, right? So why this is strategic? It's not only the cost cutting, but it's a value. It's becoming, from the GCC perspective, it's becoming a value generator. Second thing, it's not only about the cost, but rather the chance of missing such kind of alerts or missing such kind of frauds may cost a lot of money, reputational damage, and in fact, a lot of other issues. So basically, it's exposed. At the same time, it converts your risk into the KPI. And last but not the least, this kind of product or this kind of solution make the organization audit ready. So it's very transparent and it's all available to the auditors for the better regulatory assurance. So I'm just concluding now. There are two things. The first thing, the tons of money, hundreds of thousands of $1 million lying on the table. Of course, money saved, risk mitigated, regulatory exposure reduced. But the question is, if you will not deploy such kind of technology, or if you are not able to identify such kind of opportunity, then when? It's all the issue of the talent. It's all about the skill. So as soon as you start, that will help you to move forward in your career. Hope you like the session. Thank you very much for joining and listening me.